Um, dude, the it's crazy. Like the Netherlands is such a special place for music. Like I've heard that it has the most festivals per capita in the
Yeah,
whole
I believe
world.
that. Yeah, I
Um,
heard it too.
and dude, I'm just so curious. What was your first concert or show? I know that might be a vulnerable question.
I think for me it was maybe like you had like this free festival called Dance Tour, and it was
Hmm.
like without age restriction. It was on King's Day.
Hmm.
So I think that was like a first time seeing like DJs playing. That I think, yeah, that was for me first time. I remember like I think they had like Yellow Claw and Stevie Aoki there, and that
No
was
way.
like were like the huge stars back then. Yeah, yeah.
Damn, dude, that's amazing. And were you interested in that kind of music, like dance music? Like what inspired you to go?
I think like that was from, of course, I listened to house music, and like back then when like with YouTube, like you're discovering a lot of music. But I think that was for me like first time because I was like 14 or 15, so and there was like no age restriction, so that was like the first time I've seen like a kind of like party.
Dude,
So yeah, that yeah.
that's unreal. Dude, because you're so growing up near Rotterdam, uh, that's where you grew up, right? Like that part of the Netherlands?
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, it's like a small village next to it. So like, was it like 8 minutes driving? So it's kind of like in, like for example, if you have some city in the US, it's like almost a center, but like because there the cities are way smaller.
Got it. Dude, so I man, I got to play Rotterdam for the first time over the summer. It was so nice. But I saw my very first Dutch film recently, and it was Hardcore Never Dies. And it was like,
Oh yeah,
dude, it was about the like Rotterdam hardcore scene. And I'm just curious, dude. Like, I feel like a lot of people in the Netherlands, they grow up exposed to dance music. What was your like entry point into hearing electronic music? Like, was the Rotterdam hardcore scene a factor at all, or was it like EDM? Curious what got you into electronic music?
I think for me like the first, because like the whole hardcore garage scene was more something coming up in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think that was on its peak like 97, 98, and that was when
Hmm.
I was born.
Hmm.
But for me like the first interaction with like dance music was more like for example like the trends from Armin, like the trends from begin 2000, like the stuff from Chesto. I think that's like the first electronic stuff I heard. And then later on, you, for example, you had these Dutch guys called like Fado Gonzalez, was like the dirty house scene that
Yeah.
also like growing. So yeah, like that was for me like the first stuff I heard.
Dude, so crazy, man. Because, like, for me in the US, dude, it's just like there was a point where all of my favorite artists are all coming from the Netherlands. Like, the amount
Yeah,
of amazing music there. And I feel like it's just such a special place. And to kind of jump to the present time, I mean, as a DJ, like, DJing in the Netherlands, I feel like it's the most magical place to play. Like people love the music so much, and yeah, man, it's crazy because um yeah, dude, it seems like right now you're like your career and your musical journey is it's just like it seems like things are going so incredibly well. Like how are you feeling about where things are? Does it feel surreal or like how
yeah,
do you
no, of course, yeah, I'm super happy with it. Like, yeah, already like I'm doing already music for like for more than 10 years, and now since the like the last 2 years, it's like what happened in the last 2 years is like 10 times the stuff happened like in the last 10 years before. So yeah, it's like really like a snowball effect. You think like, oh, I would love to have do this next year, and then it already happened like in 2 months or something. Like,
wow.
so yeah, it's crazy. Like you like what you have in mind. If every time it's getting crazier. So yeah,
Dude, so this is like one of the things that I think is so interesting about your story. And, I made a little post about this, but it, I mentioned bamboo, how like when you plant bamboo, it remains underground for many, many years. You don't see anything. And then it's laying its roots. And then overnight, it can sprout and explode in height out of nowhere and grow really, really quickly. But you might not see all of the time it's spent underground and to hear that you've
Yeah.
been an artist working for so long, and then to have this explosion in just what seems, really, really, like a really short amount of time compared to 10 years. It's just so inspiring, and I'm just so grateful that you're willing to hang out and talk about your journey,
Yeah, man. Nice. Yeah, of course. Like, yeah,
dude.
and that's like what you mentioned about bamboo. Like, for example, also what you see with those guys like Maupio, for example. Like,
Mhm.
it's like an even crazier example. Like how he exploded within a year, but before he was doing it already for 10 years. So
Dude,
yeah.
insane. So, dude, could I, ask you some questions about like just that journey and sort of, you know, where did it begin 10 years ago? What did that look like?
Like that was like when I started was making music, and I think when I was studying graphic design, I
Hmm.
had a few people in my class who were just making like dubstep and drum and bass.
Hmm.
So that was like very easily then to also like start producing music. I already had a laptop for graphic design, so like yeah, just looking at my classmates like how they work with FL Studio. If I had questions, I could ask them. So like that was like kind of like how I got into making music, and then already for me then when I was starting making music, you had for example like Chami,
Hmm.
and he was like making like this kind of like new house style at the point, like he called it future house. I think that was like for me the first beginning getting in producing music and stuff like that. Yeah.
100%. And, you know, at what point did you begin releasing music or DJing? Can you speak to your first gig and your first release?
Yeah, I think first release, like the thing is like I released back then like on my own, like just
Hmm.
like put it on to DistroKid or something, or I think I
Hmm.
used Rootnote back then.
Hmm.
um and then my first gig, like with maybe within a year or 2 years, I had my
Hmm.
first gig, but there were like school parties, like stuff like that. I remember like I also told in another interview, I had like my first booking, and it was I was like making house music,
Hmm.
and I got booked. And after me, there was like this Dutch influencer DJ was playing, and she
Hmm.
played more like Dutch hip hop kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And I remember like people were throwing ice cubes to me,
Oh
like
no.
I played like house music, and they really hated it. And after that, I didn't play for like maybe 2 years because I was like, okay, never gonna play like a party where it's not like focused on the music I want to play. So yeah, that
Dude.
was like, and especially like because I wasn't that confident behind the decks because it was like a first gig. So yeah, if then even like stuff is thrown at you, like your confidence behind the decks is going very low.
Oh, dude. Dude. Dude, you were just too hot. People were just trying to cool you down.
Yeah,
Fast,
yeah, yeah. I
dude.
remember even like at the point like they throw an ice cube and they hit the pitch knob, so
Oh
like the
no.
track speeded up like 5 or even 10 BPMs, and I was like, I didn't even know what was happening because I also didn't know the decks that well. I was like, shit, yeah, it was
Dude,
bad.
that
And the funny
that
thing is like
uh-huh.
the guy who booked me then, he's like now one of the owners of Back to Base.
Yeah.
Like maybe you know it, like they do a lot of like events in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny like that he's now doing that. So still I still know him. We
Dude,
still
that's amazing. Dude, and I love how you can work with a promoter like, 10 years ago and have that experience, and then it
yeah,
turns
yeah,
out
yeah.
that you guys still uh end up in the same like scene and stuff. But dude, that
Yeah.
is crazy. And I just gotta say, like, once again, coming from the US, where like we imagine like for me, growing up in LA, dance music was always very it felt very niche and underground. Now it's exploded in popularity, but to hear that uh all the way in the Netherlands, where I would imagine things would be like this utopia for dance music, that you felt that there were these challenges for like finding the right room, the right crowd, the right party initially. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and the thing is, like, when you, especially when you're starting off, and especially when you're like under 18,
Hmm.
it's very hard to get like play in a club. Of course, like you got like these exceptional stories, for example, with Martin Garrix, but like because he was like 16 and playing in big clubs. But I think when you're 16, I think it's very hard to play at like an 18 plus stuff. So like you should probably start off at like school parties and stuff like that.
100%,
So
dude. And yeah, man, it's funny. My first gig in the US, I got asked to play like a 19 plus party, and I was 18, and I used my fake ID at the door, and they took it. The promoter ended up helping me in, but dude, that I just relate to you with I
Yeah,
don't know, I had to like sneak in and stuff. Dude, well, so that's crazy to hear that you had this experience of like, you know, uh, this maybe what seemed like an uphill battle. Um, how did things evolve from there? It sounds like you didn't play for a little while. Can you
yeah, yeah.
keep on explaining just how things evolved?
Yeah, at the point, like I was like continue making music, and at the point, I think after 2 years, I was also 18. I started listening to other music, like more like all like different, all kind of different house music,
Mhm,
and I also start being an intern, for example, at Rotterdam Rave,
mhm,
and that's like one of the organizations in Rotterdam who do like modular, but they also do Give Soul. It's like a very big organization. Back then, it was pretty small. It was like just two people working there, two owners, and like five interns, and I was
mhm,
also one of those.
mhm.
And that's where I got to like learn a lot of about DJing, about promoting a party, about parties, especially just about the whole music scene, like how a proper rave works and like how a DJ should play, even if he's opening or if it's. So that's where I kind of like learned a lot about like more the all the extra stuff instead of just making music.
Damn. And were there any, this might be a difficult question because I know it was a while ago, but were there any lessons that you learned there that um that have stuck with you that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think especially like because that's when I also start getting booked, especially for like opening slots. And I remember like I wanted to always like prove myself, going all in, trying to get as much friends in there in the crowd, like to make it as well as possible. But that like was a lesson that I just because you're opening, especially like in a house or more techno oriented party, that you need to play as an opener and not like you want to suit your ego, like fully go on there, like. So that's definitely stuff I learned, and also like I learned a lot of like new music, like a little more like the whole like techno scene. For example, back then there were uh, booking those guys like Jeff Mills and stuff like that, and before that I never heard of them. So like that is kind of like how I also um, see more like the underground stuff instead of just like the EDM stuff I've seen. For example,
Mhm.
also I've seen their Yub Yubs playing there for the first time. I was then stage managing and he was like playing, and I remember like he was playing before the Blessed Madonna. Then she was still calling like Black Madonna,
Yeah.
and she was her flight got canceled or something. So he played like also her slot. So he played like a 4 or 5 hour set. And I remember like then he was like playing already like Armin and Chesto tracks, and that is yeah I think even longer than 10 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So like that was very interesting for me now, especially now what all happens and that he plays my tracks and like this that he hold is like this kind of like trancey sound and hard housey sound is getting popular. He was already doing that like 10 years ago, so that's super sick
That is
to
so
think.
crazy.
Yeah,
Damn, what a legend. Dude, well, so and this is one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. Could you, you know, talk to us a little bit about your journey with genre and exploring different styles of music, what that looked like for you as an artist in these early
yeah.
years?
So yeah, like what I started off with like making more like this charmy sound, so kind of like the future house stuff, and then I was making like bass house, yeah, very like yeah influenced dubstep house stuff.
Mhm,
um yeah, made like some tech house stuff, but all like pretty low profile, not really focusing on releasing a lot, more like just making a lot. And yeah, like sometimes I put something on Spotify or something, but nothing serious. And I think I didn't release any music for like 5 years or something.
mhm,
And then again, I did go to a lot of parties in the Netherlands where like those guys like Jab Jabse and also Benwell was just coming up, Chade. And that was for me like yeah feeling again like this kind of spark I had like those 10 years ago when I heard like first the chami stuff. So back then I really was getting into making this music. And the funny thing is like then also like this music wasn't really made yet because all those guys play just old tunes.
wow, that's so
Yeah,
interesting. Dude, I want to kind of dive in a little bit deeper about this 5 year period of not making music or not releasing anything. So, you know, how come? What was going on internally where, you know, why there was this pause?
Yeah, I was. It was for me. It was more for me. Like I wasn't. Like I was always like make music if I wanted to.
Hmm.
Like not because I was also I worked full time,
Hmm.
so there was not like something like, oh, I really need to have a career, or I just like I did it for fun, and it's like, okay, if something cool comes up, or if I really love something, and at a point like kind of like wasn't really into something like really, yeah, or like that kind of like that spark, you how you called also in the video.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made sometimes some music, but I wasn't really that hyped or something on it. So yeah.
Mm. And it's interesting to just hear that it sounds like you never, it's like you were always interested in music, but there was just this spark, this like layer of like depth was missing. And when it got reignited, what did that look like? Were you like, oh my gosh, it's time to release stuff? Like, can you paint that picture a little bit more? Like, was there a defining moment of like seeing Yab Yabza play a certain party or
Yeah,
something? Like,
I
mhm,
think I went to like a couple of parties
mhm,
and like was discovering like Yub Yub, I already know him, but I was discovering again what he was doing. Like and then with Chad and Benoit, and I was really like it remembers me almost like bit when the EDM exploded. Like people were so hyped, everyone was jumping.
mhm,
It was such a, and especially because like this whole like like minimal tech house period was very and of course like the hard techno stuff, but yeah, you didn't see that energy again on the dance floor. So like that was for me very like a thing to see like how wow, it's so cool. Like this is back then it was very almost like a small group of people who really enjoyed that, and especially
mhm,
like all those parties were in Amsterdam. And yeah, that was really something I was like, oh wow, I want to be part of this and I want to make this kind of music. Because back then, not many people were making music. I remember like especially like Chada and Yop Yopse, their sets were almost only like music from the 90s.
mhm,
So yeah, and so I was like, why not should start making this kind of music? And also already very fast, like for example, like guys like Cal Starkey start making like this kind of music.
mhm.
And yeah, I remember like the track Triton, I think was one of those first like kind of like hits in this
Yeah.
kind of genre. And I remember like hearing that, I was like, wow, this is so sick, you know? It sounds like the 90s, but it's new and it got this like some extra touch to it, some extra punch.
Damn, that is so crazy. And, you know, it's interesting to hear you talk about this scene being kind of small, and you said a lot of it was happening in Amsterdam. How did you even discover that it was happening in the first place?
Yeah, I think like just through SoundCloud, just seeing sets, seeing videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like how I discovered. Like also my colleagues of mine. Um, yeah, we went to those parties.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of like how I get into it. Because in Rotterdam, this sound wasn't, you didn't hear this anywhere. It was all in Rotterdam was all like hard techno or
Right.
like tech house.
Dude, so you had to like travel across the country
Yeah,
to really experience this music. Is that fair to say?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like an hour drive, but
Mhm.
it's not that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, it wasn't only. Definitely, it wasn't in Rotterdam. I remember like years ago that, for example, like Bad Boombox was playing or Ben was playing in Rotterdam, and they
Mhm.
played just for an empty room,
Mhm.
completely empty. There was maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, it was like completely empty. Yeah, and in
Wow.
Amsterdam they were really filling rooms, but in Rotterdam not.
So interesting how like even though it's just an hour drive away, it's like a completely different scene and culture.
Yeah,
And I just imagine like to be able to like I don't know, feel that energy, it must have been so electric. Can you talk to us about like how things evolved for your music after this point of getting inspired and maybe that first release of this new chapter, what was that?
I think what the first thing I made was like was more like remixes. So I made like an "Waiting for Tonight" from Jennifer Lopez,
Hmm.
a remix. Walking on a Dream, like so kind of these kind of remixes. And at a point like this, those tracks were, for example, Bemol was starting play one of those remixes.
Mhm.
For example, also Trim, and Trim was best. It was pretty hard, but like there was kind of like a soft moment in his sets. So
Yeah.
at this point, I was thinking, oh wow, this is sick. Like I never had like this good support already from DJs with like these remixes. So and then I really start getting into making originals.
Mhm.
And then the point like I made All Night, and
Mhm.
that was kind of like the first kind of like original I made.
Mhm.
And then I sent it over to Chad, and he was like immediately playing it at festivals. And then, so like, yeah, that's kind of like how it started.
Oh, dude, it's so epic. Like, bro, I saw you and Chada going back to back uh at that. I forget who put on the party.
Audio
Audio
Obscura.
Obscura, yeah,
Yep.
at ADE. And guys, here, let me switch views for a second so I can just see everyone. Dude, seeing Lammer and Chada play like Lammer's track in the Netherlands, it felt like seeing the Beatles. Like
Yeah.
everyone was going up on shoulders, singing along, and just like the energy, like it was magical and just crazy. Like just so cool to see. And Boris, if you're open to it, maybe could I just like play people some clips of these
Yeah.
songs that you just mentioned? Because,
Yeah.
dude, I
Yeah,
think
man.
this is like another thing that is so inspiring about your journey. The music that seems like really sort of like laid the foundation for your career. So much of it was you releasing stuff you by yourself on SoundCloud with these remixes.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. I remember like, and when I was, because I didn't put out any music, I wasn't playing any sets.
Hmm.
And remember, like when I made this first remix, I sent those guys from Back to Base who booked me like 8 years or 10 years ago for that school party. I told them like because they're already booking Bamwell and stuff. So I told
Hmm.
them like, hey guys, could I play at one of your parties because I'm now like making this music and I want to really get into it. So I remember like that he we did kind of like how do you say it? Like I mastered and mixed for them,
Oh, no
and in
way.
exchange I could play like the opening slot. So not fee, but just I did something for them to play there. And that was I remember I was playing before Upper 90, I think, yeah, and that was for me like the first gig in this kind of sound. So years
Dude,
before I didn't play anymore, and I had also so many friends there, and after that, like yeah, getting more bookings. I had some nice videos. So yeah, that's kind of like how that started. Yeah.
crazy, dude. Unreal. So let me share my screen and kind of like we'll go down a like memory lane through some of these like, you know, uh the releases of this new chapter that kind of led to this sort of like explosion. So here, let's see. So here, I'm gonna do this also. Let me do put up mini meters. Um And no. Okay, sweet. Let me do this. Desktop audio fire. Okay, sick. So, yeah, dude, this is like such a trip to see. From like 8 years, and then there's
Yeah.
like a 6 year gap on SoundCloud. Can I play
Yeah.
this track, like the dubs tune?
Yeah. Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I
this
didn't.
is
Yeah, I didn't hear it for a very long time. But
yeah, dude. And so this is part of the like maybe more like bass house chami inspired
yeah.
music from like that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Bass
And
house, very heavy bass house.
cool. Let's take a quick listen. Wow, it's kind of interesting, dude. Like we have that organ that like it
Yeah, it's
still
already
feels
in there
very,
too.
very like, the through line. Wow.
Where's your dancing crazy bass and drums that'll make them people jump, fam? Where's your
Like going all over the place.
Dude, amazing. And it's dude, very well produced. Super cool. So I love that we go from that 6 years later to Waiting for Tonight. unreal. Such a banger, dude. And it's funny, I
Thanks,
got to
man.
hear. Can everyone unmute? Make some noise for Lammer and his amazing music. Let's go. Make some noise,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Unreal, unreal.
Told
Dude.
everyone to like cheer for this. Oh my God.
um I Dude, I remember hearing this one. I'm lucky that I got to see you twice during ADE this year. At Into the Woods, I heard you play this track, I believe, and I actually had never heard this before, truthfully. And I was like, wow, what is this remix? And it's such a banger.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was like now what I now play and like make is a little bit. This was more like trancey focused,
Yeah,
and it's now moving throughout like the last 2 years. I'm moving a little bit more towards house.
yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of like what I started making. And I remember like sending this track to Chada and to Benwall and to Yop, and I was really like trying to get those names play it, but they never played it. But it was like the first thing did it. And but the funny thing is like Trim, for example, did play this one and a lot. Like I think he played it like almost a year in every set.
No way.
That was kind of like a start for me, like getting also getting support. Yeah.
Dude, that is so crazy. By the way, dude, I love this trajectory from like, not that the numbers are super important, but just like, from like 1,000, 3,000 to like so many plays. And
Yeah.
this is a track that just like, you put up on SoundCloud. Um, you mentioned that some of your favorite DJs, they didn't play it. And yet it like I just don't know your story. Like when you put this track out by itself, did that like how did it grow and did that change your career in any way? Did it start getting you some opportunities? I'm just curious what this
Um,
moment looked like.
the funny thing is like when I made this track and I didn't put out any music for a very long time. I also made like a new TikTok account because I
Mhm,
had an old TikTok account, but there was also bullshit on it, like also stupid stuff with friends, nothing serious. So I was like, okay, let's make a new TikTok. So you're getting a new audience, new crowd.
mhm,
And I was teasing this track with videos, and I posted like maybe like 10 or 20 videos.
mhm,
And at the point, like one was getting like like not viral, but it was getting good views, like 100K or something.
mhm.
And then someone used this track under a video, and then that went a bit viral. So
Whoa.
then at the point there were like maybe like 50K. I'm not sure, but I think like 50K creations with this audio. So that's kind of like how that started.
Holy shit. And dude, it's crazy because to hear that you made 20 TikToks on this video, it's
Yeah,
funny. It's like that number is not that big of a number. And yet, I think for most artists, that could be a really daunting thing to do to make 20
yeah.
videos. What was your experience doing that?
Yeah, the thing was because I made a new TikTok. Like the only people who saw like videos from that, or maybe like 20 is maybe too much, but there maybe 12 or 15, something like that.
Mhm,
But because like I was just getting like a new audience, so the people who saw those videos were interested in it.
mhm,
So I showed some videos of just like FL Studio, like going through the timeline, just with some stupid videos, just with me sitting in the studio, like head banging to it, like just stupid stuff. But because I was getting a new crowd, like people loved it. And remember, like when I put it on SoundCloud and put it on TikTok, I didn't put it on my Instagram yet because I wasn't like sure about it
no
yet. I was a
way.
bit like I remember like colleagues of mine, they were saying like, yeah, just put it online. It's sick. And I was like, because I was making bass house before, so like very dark, and it was like, and I was like, I really loved it, but I wasn't sure what other people were thinking. In the end, like you don't have to care about it, but at that point, I was caring a lot about that. So I think after 1 month or 2 months, it was on SoundCloud and on TikTok. I also posted about it on Instagram. I think if you scroll back, like 20 posts, 30 posts, I do a little post a little story, like a little story in a post, like, hey guys, I made like these two remixes. I think
Mhm.
when I put out the Walk on It remix, then I made it clear on Instagram and stuff like, hey, I'm gonna do this new music. I'm like very, yeah, kind of like have like this spark again to make every night music because I was
Wow.
back then working full time, so I was like every night, yeah, fully making music. I was very motivated.
Damn, dude. And Boris, it's just so interesting to, I just want to highlight what you said, how what Waiting for Tonight, this track that ultimately sparked this new chapter for your career, was a song that you were insecure about or unsure if you should even post it to your Instagram.
Yeah,
And dude, I just think that's so relatable because I think so many artists like, yo, if give a thumbs up if you ever like doubt your own music, right? It's like we all all of us. It's just such a human thing. And to hear that you doubted a song that you know, became so beloved and so powerful. It's just crazy to see, right?
yeah, definitely. And I also like remember because I'm already made it like I think before I put it online, if you even start teasing it on TikTok, I already made it like I already had it for like 8 months.
For
And
8 months.
especially yeah, and I think especially because I was like colleagues of mine told me like, hey man, put it online, it's sick. Like they really need to tell me. Yeah, it's always very hard, especially when you do something different and new. um, Especially back then, it wasn't like still a bit weird or something. Like it was this like kind of really happy music. It
Hmm.
wasn't like, huh, what the fuck? It's like Euro dance almost. Like
Hmm.
also like a lot of people loved it, but also a lot of people like didn't understand it. Like why you should make this stuff? Like why? Yeah.
Mm,
So it was
I see what you mean. So, and I think this is, dude, it's like because you were doing something different, it wasn't obvious that people would be interested in it. And that was part of why it felt so scary.
yeah. And for example, like this is also like because for example, like Marlon Hofstad was also making like these trancy remixes, but also back then he wasn't like that huge. Completely not. Like he had maybe like 10K followers or something. Like it was so it wasn't like that popular yet. Like this kind of like trancy, hard housey sound. So yeah, it was all pretty new back then. Yeah,
So crazy. Crazy, dude. Um, and I'm curious, can you speak, I see like these you know, it seems like the sort of like you followed it up with like a handful of remixes. Can you talk
yeah,
about what things looked like for you in terms of gigs and touring in this chapter? Like what, what was your first gig back in this time and how did things grow?
yeah. I think I think after the Waiting for Tonight remix, I think after 3 or 4 months, I was like getting my like first gigs. I think so. Like that's kind of like, and then yeah, slowly I was just playing like in cafes, just also like promoters who just want to throw a party with this kind of music style. So like in small cafes in Brabant or something. Like
Mhm.
it was all like small parties. And at the point, like we got a mail from Thuishaven.
Mhm.
I think that was like the first serious party where we were like, oh wow. Because I was doing my bookings back then with a good friend of mine, like a
Mhm.
roommate of mine,
Mhm.
and we were like, yeah, probably when you want to play like Thuishaven or Sunda, you really need an agent, like you need to
Yeah,
be within the bookings agency. And at a point, like were getting like those mails from Thuishaven, and we were like, oh shit, that was like insane. I remember like what was getting. They were like, okay, man, this is so amazing. Like these are like the venues I also like discovered this kind of music.
that's crazy. And when you were playing these cafes and stuff, um, was it just small promoters
Yeah,
reaching out to you to have you, or were you and your roommate also reaching out to small promoters to try to get you in front of people?
yeah. Like I did that like before a lot of
Hmm.
times, but yeah, for like when I start doing this, I was also very like strict to myself. Okay, I only gonna make this kind of music. I only gonna play this kind of music.
Hmm.
So like this is what you see, is what you get. And of
Hmm.
course, like if I play an open set, I will take it easy. Uh, but yeah, and that worked because at the point, like there were just people start emailing me,
Hmm.
and except for the one where the back to base one, like the very first one, like the when I was doing like a mastering a mix exchange for the opening slot. So like
That's
was
so funny.
except for that one.
Unreal. And you know, uh I guess like, you know, in the past 2 years, like so much has happened. Can you speak to like how things have grown and sort of like, you know, what do you think helped take you? So it seems like some of these remixes and, you doing a really good job of putting yourself out there on TikTok and stuff. It seems like that got you sort of through the door into that first sort of like level of being a DJ where you're playing really small shows. Can you then speak to what took things to that next level of going, playing maybe the early set at Teishaven or like playing more legitimate clubs? Like what helped you grow your career?
Yeah, I think especially when I made like all night.
Hmm.
So like a lot of people were start playing that.
Hmm.
So I think that's at the point like where also like the bigger promoters were looking at, like there was, oh, he also made like some original tunes.
Hmm.
And at the point like all night was getting played by like by Job Jobse, by Chada, by Benwell, like by a
Hmm.
lot of guys.
Hmm.
I think that it was kind of like that. Also, like the bigger promoters were looking like, oh, he can also make, um, yeah, not only remixes, and I think like then it's when like I was getting like more interesting bookings.
Yeah,
So
dude,
yeah,
it's super interesting because it seems like the remixes they helped sort of get the attention of a lot of fans and just
yeah,
like
exactly,
normal people, and then that laid such a great foundation for you to then release an original track, which then obviously the fans really loved it, but the DJ support and it gave you like this credibility in the eyes of promoters, it sounds like. Is that
exactly,
fair to
yeah,
say?
yeah, exactly. That's kind of like, yeah. And then I also like after that I made all night, and it was already been played a lot. And
Mhm.
then like you got like Vrouwtje Steen. It was like these Dutch two singers,
Mhm.
and they made already like a track that was had some like dance influences in there.
Mhm.
So then I made a remix of that, and we released it pretty soon after, and then
Mhm.
went a bit viral in the Netherlands. So
Mhm.
that was like already crazy. But I already had all night, and I was like, I want to put out all night. But then that stuff happened. So and then after that, I released all night, and that also gave me like a lot of bookings. So I think also like a lot of promoters were looking. Okay, now he got like this remix of this pop song.
Mhm.
But like after like I put out all night, it was more interesting for promoters and stuff like that.
I
I
see.
think so.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think you've done such an amazing job of like releasing remixes and sort of songs that could, you know, uh, open you to like new people, but then you've done so in a way that's just so cool that you feel, the original tracks and just your overall presentation, it's like no one would question your legitimacy. It's like you've done such a good job of sort of like showing who you are as like an amazing artist. One other question, just to back up a little bit, from Trim supporting Waiting for Tonight and then getting more DJ support as you've released more music. How did you approach sending music to other DJs?
Yeah, I think like back then, for example, like the Waiting for Tonight, I sent it like to everyone, like DJ Heartstring, Marlon, Maluji,
Uh-huh.
Kedema. I sent it to everyone, and like no reply from anyone, like no one,
And
literally no one.
when you say you sent it, what do you mean? Like on Instagram, SoundCloud, just messaging people
Instagram,
cold?
SoundCloud, email. If I could find an email address, like I tried everything, and literally no one was playing it. And then like after a month or something, then Trim start playing it, and after Trim start playing it, like a lot other guys were start playing it. But yeah, like nobody's was playing it.
Dude, so this is the type of stuff that I really hope people appreciate. It's like, Boris, like people can see the victories, the amazing things, from afar, but they might not see how you you sent the song to everyone, to all of your favorite artists, and
Yeah,
initially you didn't get any sort of validation back until, you know, maybe someone unexpected, like Trim, started playing it. And I don't know, man. I think do you have any advice or words of encouragement for someone who maybe is afraid to send their music to people?
yeah. Now when I now when I think about it, like for me, it's very clear why they didn't play it or why they didn't like it. Like for example, like um yeah, like it now it makes sense for me. But back then I was like, yeah, you should probably like this. But now when I think about it, like I know now why they don't would play it and why they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like getting very like listen very clear to like what an artist plays and what he's into, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like even like small stuff. Yeah, how would you explain it? Like, yeah, it's hard to explain, but like now when I listen back to it, to that track, to that Waiting for Tonight, it makes sense. Like for example, that Chade didn't play it, or Job Jobsen,
Mm-hmm.
and that they play all night. They play, yeah. So like now it makes sense for me. But yeah, oh, you can always try to send it, but sometimes also like not every track is for every artist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also like trying, of course, to be original. Like because sometimes I get like a list of tracks, and I hear, for example, like a lot of tracks very inspired um, by guys like Hell or like Newton or something. But
Mm-hmm.
like the tracks who don't sound like them, that are more like fresh and original, most of the
Mm-hmm.
time I download those because I already have my set filled up with tunes of them with that sound. So I want to have like other sounds. So, but yeah, you can definitely always send it over. And what I
100%.
could recommend, like never send like 10 tracks unless you're Justin J, then they're all bangers. Of course, like for example, when Kel sent me 10 tracks, I'm happy with it, or karaoke. But
Uh-huh.
like if you're like an upcoming guy, just send your 2 or 3 best tracks. But because especially like when you're scrolling to SoundCloud and listening to everything,
Mm-hmm.
someone sends you 10 tracks, like, and you like maybe the first 2 are not the best ones, or
Mm-hmm.
like it's hard to filter, especially when you listen for such a long time to so many tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a timing moment, I think, because sometimes like I'm in the studio and I hear something and I'm like, oh, this is sick. Or they send it on Instagram and I listen on my phone and was like, yeah, okay, cool. I will check it out later. And then I
Mm-hmm.
forget about it. And then later on I hear a set from someone else and I hear a tune and I was like, I sent a DM to the guy like, hey man, send me this tune. And he was like, yeah, I sent it already to you 2 weeks ago. And then I heard it, but I wasn't that in that mood. And then yeah, sometimes yeah, also you need to send it on the right time. Like you also need to have a little bit lucky, I think.
100%. 100%. It's dude, it's funny. Like, I don't know if you've ever gotten like the big promo folders from like Intasia where it's like 50 songs.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
dude, it's funny. I think it's good to know that you prefer like receiving fewer songs and like because I think everyone has their own preferences. I
yeah,
think
of
I
course.
think also, yeah, man, it's just interesting that you just sent your song, Waiting for Tonight, like that moment of just sending it to so many people, even though most of them did not play it initially. It's just so interesting how like even just one person who says yes, like can make such a big difference. And in my experience, I feel like it's very difficult to predict. Like, would you have imagined that? Like, even for me, it's a surprise I didn't know that Trim would have played a role in your musical journey. And that's so cool that
Yeah,
he did.
yeah, no, true. Yeah, it's yeah, it's funny like how it works. I remember also like when nobody was playing it, I was like, yeah, also, yeah, don't mind. Let's go to the next one. And on socials, people were really loving it, and I was like, okay, like people loving it doesn't always have to be playing it, because like people were just loving it. Like especially on TikTok, I was getting like people getting into my music, that they were excited for new stuff coming up. So I was like, okay, it's not a huge problem. Like this is
100%.
also fine.
Dude, unreal. So I hope everyone, sort of takes some inspiration from this in terms of like the power of like, if you have a song, even to hear, I love this juxtaposition of how you grappled with insecurities about the song, and yet you still posted those TikToks and you still ultimately sent it out to people. And I just think there's something very inspiring to me about that, of just like sharing your art even when it feels vulnerable. But dude, to just keep it rolling, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about All Night. Cool if I just play it
Yeah,
briefly in the Zoom? Awesome. All right, let's go to All Night. Um, Sweet. Okay.
All night.
dude, it just takes me back to ADE and just, dude, thousands of people just the euphoria, like the smiles. It was just that was just such a magical moment for me. It's just it was insane, dude. This track is so good. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, dude. So can I ask you a couple questions about the track itself?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, so I think a lot of artists maybe, they start with doing some remixes. But a lot of people, I just had a friend today ask me, like, where do you find vocals for original songs? And I was wondering if you could speak to the vocal and how this track came together. What's the story?
Yeah, like the vocal is like is also a Splice sample.
No
So
way.
yeah, it's like two different or like three different ones combined, but
Hmm.
it's all from the same pack. And the funny thing is like this pack is used a lot in these kind of like tunes. I think yeah,
No way.
it's even I think even Time to Move is from the same pack. I think.
That's amazing.
Uh, so yeah, and like I remember like because like the Walking on a Dream and Waiting for Tonight, those tracks um, were all like very like closing tunes.
Hmm.
Like and back then I was doing like opening sets,
Hmm.
and it was weird to play like Waiting for Tonight in like the first hour of the night. You know, like it was more like a closing track.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like the start of All Night. I want to make a little bit more chilled house tune,
Hmm.
but in the end, it also turned out more like in a very closing track. But that
Yeah.
was like the idea how it started, and I want to make a little bit more housey tune instead of like the trancey. So like
Hmm.
the bass is more groovy. It's very like inspired on 90s house.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of like how that started.
Dude, crazy. And I'm curious, man, like, to me, it seems like it could be intimidating to have put out these amazing remixes that are getting so much attention. Did you feel much pressure when it came to deciding to release an original song?
Yeah, it was more like I made it. I sent it. I remember like sending it, for example, to Benvo, and it wasn't getting any response from him. He was like, at a point like, "Yeah, did you already check it out?" And I was like very hyped about this song. Like all my friends were like, "Man, this is so sick! Like this is it."
Uh-huh.
And then I remember like didn't get any response, and I was like, "Shit, man,
Damn.
it's not what I was thinking it was."
Hmm.
And then I got an email back from Chad, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try it out
Hmm.
this weekend at a festival."
Hmm.
And then he played it at Sunda. And then the funny thing, like Sunda posted a clip from All Night that day,
Uh-huh.
just like during from the whole set, they posted All Night. So that was like the first thing they put online from the whole day. So that was like a very boost to the track. Everyone was in the comments like, "What is this tune?" And it was so yeah. That's and then at a point like everyone was asking for the tune, like, "Hey, can I have it? I want to play it." So
Damn.
yeah,
Dude, see, this is like so interesting. It's very cool that you can pinpoint these very specific things that helped move the needle for your music. It's like Chada playing this track at Sunda Festival, and there's this one video, and it's like, boom, that one video, like one performance,
yeah,
one DJ, like it's just so interesting, even hearing how you sent it to Benoit and maybe these other DJs who didn't respond, but yeah, it's like sometimes it only takes one, and you probably can't predict what
yeah.
that thing will be, right?
And remember, like I talked to him later about that, and he was like, "Yes, bro, I get so many DMs, like I get so many tracks sent over, like you can check out everything." Probably I was like, checked it very fast, like yeah, stuff
Mhm.
like that happens. That happens with me also. Like you can't rely on like one respond, one reaction. It doesn't mean if he's
Mhm.
not responding or he doesn't say like so sick.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's still like a lot of like other people can still really love it. So yeah.
100%. I think that's something that I feel very grateful for about the time we're in. Because like when I first started my career, like Instagram wasn't even really a thing. And dude, now you can just like message anyone and like the uh you know, it's just like crazy how this shit can happen. Um, but yeah, dude. So I kind of wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk about another side of what makes you such an interesting artist. And I feel like you're a great DJ, incredible producer. but you're also so visually oriented. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about your sort of journey with like visual art and how it relates to your album artwork and video and how you present yourself and all that stuff.
Yeah, so like before, like when I was like working full time, so I quitted
Mhm,
my job in April. I was like doing like graphic design and art direction for Garrix and for his label,
mhm.
Stamped Records. So I did that for like 7 years full time. So that's yeah, that's also like besides making music, producing music, DJing is like graphic design, like coming up with cool concepts, like yeah, just like the whole like branding identity. I really love doing that also. So that's and that's also what I try to incorporate in my project. Uh, yeah, trying to make that like as a kind of like plus point as an artist that you also do that yourself.
Dude, so
So, yeah.
cool. And maybe for people here who are more musically oriented, can you explain like what does it mean to like can you explain like the basics of what it means to like have a brand and like a visual identity and these sorts of things?
Yeah, I think it's like it's just giving extra value to your
Hmm.
music. So besides besides your, for example, like but that's also because I'm a graphic designer. But when I'm scrolling through SoundCloud and I see like an interesting artwork,
Hmm.
I'm already like attracted to it. Like, oh, this is probably gonna be a good song. You know, like
Yeah.
it's gonna give it some extra taste to it. Um, yeah, and then also sometimes like I hear a very sick track, but you see the artwork and it looks a bit cheap, or you don't like it looks a bit not like like it's not like a very good fit with the track or something.
Hmm.
So I think it again just adds extra value to your profile as an artist. Yeah.
100%, dude. Maybe like, because I'd love to just shine a light on sort of, what the sort of effort that you put into your visual stuff. Because from my perception, I don't know if you feel this way, but to me, it just feels like an extension of your art. It's like you make
Yeah.
music, but you're also very visually oriented. Is there anything in particular that I could sort of show people, whether it's your Instagram, your SoundCloud art, TikTok. I don't know if there's anything
Um,
in particular that
yeah,
you've.
I think like on Instagram, I always try to, especially like with my posters. For
Mhm.
example, now you see like two, and I always try to make something new. Like for these are like all like kind of like in the same color style, but I always try to make something interesting out of it. So, for example, this was just a normal poster.
Mhm.
If you go up,
Mhm.
um,
This
for
one.
example, this poster, like
Mhm.
that's I just like trying to do stuff with AI. So, like this first video is like more like an AI thing. But I first made the poster, and then later on, I was just getting into AI stuff. Like, okay, how can I incorporate it? So here you see kind of like the design again with
No
AI stuff.
way.
So that's yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, and like I think after this shot, you also see me with the poster.
Dude, that's so sick.
So
Holy shit,
yeah,
dude. What did you, dude? Wow, this is crazy. I haven't actually watched, and then it loops. That's so tight.
yeah, and it
Um,
looks yeah,
bro, you're insane. You made this completely yourself?
yeah.
Dude, you're a
I was
beast.
like last week. I was really getting into like this new update, like the Nano Banana stuff.
Mhm.
So we're just like very getting into it. I think was like doing a lot of stuff like 2 days long, and now I have like kind of like the basic knowledge of it. But
Dude,
like it definitely also as if you're not into graphic design, yeah, it's very nice to have like these. You can use these tools. Of course, you always need to have your creative input in there, and but yeah, it definitely if you're not a graphic designer, it can definitely help you
I mean,
out
dude,
with making your posters, tour posters. Yeah,
it's just insane though, because it's like we're in a time where like if you have the taste and the vision, you can like, dude, this would take so much money and resources to film, like to get like a warehouse with like a drone shot, and
yeah,
you're
it's
able to
insane.
do this all with AI.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I remember like people also sending me messages like, "Hey, where is this in Rotterdam?" Because you see behind, you see the city. But yeah, it's insane what you can do. Uh, yeah.
Dude, that is so cool.
See, for example, this whole thing, like if you scroll back, this is like whole made by myself. Like so, but like that's kind of like the input I used in the AI stuff.
Dude, wait, you used AI for this as well?
No, only
Oh,
you see those horses
I
things.
see. You used the graphic design as an input for the AI
Yeah,
video.
yeah,
Got it.
exactly.
So cool. Yeah, dude, it's such a cool approach because like it allows it like makes the AI stuff you're using it as a tool to enhance the art that you've already made with like the flyer and
Yeah,
like this this is so freaking sick. Like,
yeah, it's
damn.
insane like how very well it understands the artwork. Like even the only thing, like you see the left bottom, it says Lil Warden, but it's like he made like a small typo in there.
Uh-huh.
Like that's the only adjustment he made. Like the rest is like perfect, exactly the same as the original poster. So
Dude, that is so crazy. Dude, what about, can I ask you a little bit about like how you've approached press shots? Because like, dude, I feel like even just your images, they're so cool. Like, what went into this? And, how do you approach thinking about like your images?
yeah, with these, like Jordi Brada is like a very good friend of mine. He's also like a very talented photographer.
Hmm.
And yeah, I always like trying to make first like made a mood board for like if we go do like a little shoot. And he
Hmm.
always loves to do also some more creative shoots, so we try stuff out. For example, like on this artwork with some more like low shutter speed stuff, we
Hmm.
always try to do something with colors, especially like trying to make new stuff, like not like done before, especially by DJs. So that's always trying to make something new, something cool, something creative.
Wow.
So that's always what we have in mind for if you do like a photo session or something. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, dude, it's I love the contrast between us because I'm like not visually oriented at all.
Yeah.
Um, dude, like, do you have any advice for, people who are like uh camera shy or like, afraid of like graphic design? Any advice for someone for how they can like level up their visual identity stuff?
Yeah. I think it's what's very important that you just do what is you. For example, like you are very good in talking to a camera, like so
Hmm.
you post that a lot. You post a lot of like, hey guys,
Hmm.
for example, I'm very bad in that. So I would
Hmm.
should never I have never posted a video of
Hmm.
me filming like this. Hey
Uh-huh.
guys, because I'm not like good at it. Like if I
Hmm.
would do it, it will be awkward, it will be
Hmm.
weird. So I
Hmm.
trying to, for example, like with these videos, I do like a voiceover. I kind of like play a small role in the video. So like that's more where I get my benefits from, or like how can I translate it as myself, as my branding. So
Hmm.
I think you just look at yourself like, okay, what I'm good at, how do I want to present myself? Like I'm very like an happy, outgoing guy, like that is very easily to talk. Then use that. But
Hmm.
if you're more, for example, as me, and you don't like very comfortable with just talking to a camera,
Hmm.
yeah, there are other ways. So
Dude,
I
but
think, yeah,
it's funny. I think at least for me, talking to a camera, it's inherently super weird and awkward. But it's like it's not comfortable, but you just got to do it. That's like my experience.
yeah.
Like, it's
But
just kind of
I think
funny,
with you, like you are like very good at it. So like it makes completely sense. Like that's
dude.
it just works. Like in this with the yeah, just like with a few guys who were just like very good at that stuff. So they use it. Like that's
Dude,
a
I
good
appreciate it,
thing.
man. But yeah, it's just funny. I think with so many things, like I appreciate the kind words. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like so much of being an artist is like doing stuff that is uncomfortable and vulnerable, but you just have to try. I don't know, like for you, in terms of like putting yourself out there, has there been anything, what would you say has been like the scariest things that you've had to do? Like, whether it's releasing that song or sending a song out to someone or making a post on social media, is when has fear showed up for you in your career? Do you know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I think like especially like in the beginning when I was doing like a lot of like posting TikTok videos, also like even filming myself,
Hmm.
like like just simple, just behind your laptop, like kind of like bouncing to the beat. That was already felt really awkward for me. And also, like, now I don't do that anymore, because I was before I was really feeling, okay, I need to do this because there was like working on TikTok. But now I don't do it anymore. But that was maybe like something was kind of like fear for me. That's also probably why I did post it on TikTok but not on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it makes sense. And I think it's interesting, man. I just think there's so many times where like, yeah, like at some point as an artist, like trying things that are a little scary can become so important, because if you don't put yourself out there, you might not ever see what's possible. And I mean, to hear that, like, waiting for tonight, 20 videos, and then one person making a reel or like a video that then it went viral. It's like, if you were too afraid to try, who knows the amazing things that might not have happened, right?
Yeah. So definitely, like, for example, like I can show you uh, that video. I remember like that I'm also made like other versions of it, but I just was just like too afraid to post it. So in the end, I just used a very simple one.
Uh-huh.
Where is it? Oh, I think I even removed it now.
Oh, really?
uh, wow, what is it? Oh, here, like in the end, like I was just like sitting in the chair, like that's it.
Yeah,
Because for me, all the other stuff felt uncomfortable.
dude. Yeah,
So yeah,
man. It's dude, that's crazy. It's so cool to see. And I just love how like I don't know, man. It's like there's vulnerability with just sharing your art, but you just never know that one video or that one
yeah,
message that can make a big difference, right?
yeah, no, definitely. But that's also like why I now do like this more like cinematic videos or like with a voiceover.
Mhm.
That's more me, and that's more what I really like and where I'm kind of like proud of to share.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like, okay, that's my how I want to present myself, like as a kind of like as a in a style wise.
Yeah.
So like you just need to find the way you like to put yourself out there.
100%, dude. I think on that note, Boris, would you, no worries if not, but would you be open to taking a few questions
Yeah,
from the
definitely.
crowd? Amazing. So, if can people just take a second, comment in the chat your questions for Boris if you have any, and I'll try to read through some and answer a couple questions. Awesome. All right, we got questions pouring in already. Let's see. Bailey, when was the moment you realized that it was time to full send and commit to a life in music? Great question.
Yeah, that was like since April, kind of like that's when I quitted my job. That was kind of like, okay, I quit my job and going full in on my music career. So
Dude,
yeah,
before
not
you
that
quit
long
your
ago.
before you quit your job, was there a time where you were still juggling touring and, work?
Yeah, I remember like going Monday to the office, and then they were see my stories, and they were like, "Hey, you played like 6 gigs," and they were, and I was like exhausted on the office. So yeah, definitely that was kind of like the switch at a point like you need to make, because I really love my job.
Mhm,
Um, so it was very hard to say goodbye to that.
mhm,
But at a point, like it was necessary to just to fully focus on music, especially if you only make music in the evening and you're like touring in the weekend. Like there's no time anymore for anything else.
mhm.
So yeah,
Um, yeah, like it is pretty amazing that you were able to get your career off the ground while juggling your job though. Like, do you have any advice for someone who needs to be, in a 9 to 5 but wants to make music on the side? Like, what did that look like for you? How are you able to do both?
yeah, just like in the evening. So like in the nights, and that's because especially because I got this spark again to make a lot of music. I
Mhm.
want to make a lot of music. I was like very inspired. Like I was sitting behind my desk at my job, and I was like already thinking in my head like, okay, tonight I can finally make music. Gonna finish this stuff, put it
Dude,
out. You know.
waiting
So
for tonight, dude.
exactly, yeah.
Ableton. What do you
So I think like if you're very if like that motivated at a point, like you really kind of like almost need like an obsession for it. I think that worked for me. Like I wanted to put every hour in there. Remember, like I was living with friends, And when I came home, they were like watching a football game, and they told me like, "Hey, join us, have a beer." And at a point, like I was always like, I mean, I go upstairs, I go make music. I think that's, especially when you have a full-time job, that's very important then.
Damn. So like there's an element of sacrifice where it was like saying no to, certain things so that you could make music and
Yeah,
prioritize that. Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, dude.
exactly.
So fair. Let me keep on reading. Let's
So many
see.
questions, I think.
I know so many. Uh,
I see
okay.
like the next one.
Yeah, go
Easy.
for it, dude. Yeah. Is there one you
Uh,
want to answer?
yeah, yeah. How do you release your music? Is it independent or do you have a record label? Like, yeah, I have a kind of like a record label, but it's just like a name. I want to build more on to that, but it's I just like release it through DistroKid. So yeah, I release it independent on my
No
own record
way.
label.
Dude, that
Yeah,
is so crazy because I think, dude, I think so many people here feel a pressure to like get songs signed and they send their demos out and they're waiting to hear back and maybe they never hear back or they get rejected. You've built an amazing career completely by yourself without any big labels or getting songs signed. Like, dude, like, what inspired you to take things that direction versus like, waiting for labels or that not?
yeah.
What? Mhm.
Yeah, that was especially the thing. Like, for example, I send it. For example, I also sent all night to labels with just like no response. Like they don't even listen to it. So, and I was like, okay with it to release it on my own because I had like experience working in the music scene, working as a graphic designer for a label, but I also, of course, have all my colleagues where I can always ask questions like, hey, how would you do this? How would you do that? So yeah, it was very yeah, like an easy next step for me to just release it on my own and don't wait for a label. Like, so yeah,
Dude, crazy man. So inspiring. And I just love that you can if you are committed and you put yourself out there, you can do so much without needing these other, you know, people or companies to like help. And even, I don't know, it's like such a common thing where artists make great music that other labels don't respond to. And then it's like you have to do it yourself, but then amazing things can happen. It's crazy.
yeah, definitely. I also like remember like later on I got emails from labels like, hey, could you send more music after all night? And I was like, yeah, I sent you all night like a half year ago. And they were like,
Wow.
hey, we're really laughing all night. Like, could you send us more?
That's so
So
funny.
yeah.
Crazy, man. Let's see. How about this one? You know, yeah, how did you divide your free time between producing, friends, girlfriend, etc., and working full time? And now, any more advice on that?
Yeah, like now it's easier for me. So like during the day, yeah, I would just wake up early, like putting as much time in music. Yeah, like yeah, kind of like, and also like because now with I touring a lot, and it's like always friends of mine are joining. So that's kind of like how I also keep good with my friends, and they're like always joining. So I see them a lot, and I live together with my girlfriend, so that's also easier. Before we lived separately,
Hmm.
and that was also the time I was working full time and I was making a lot of music. So
Hmm.
that was sometimes hard to make those decisions. But
Yeah,
now, yeah, it's more. I got the time now. It's less cropped, or I said it like less. Yeah, yeah. It's easier to put in those time blocks.
dude, amazing. And how structured are you with your time? Like, do you wake up at the same time every day? Do you create, this is music time, this is editing time? Do you kind of wing it? I'm just curious how you navigate your schedule.
Yeah, like I'm not the best in that because some, like for example, like now um, I'm working on a new video for a new track,
Hmm.
and like and now I'm very like in my head like, okay, I need to finish that before I can make music again.
Yeah,
So that's sometimes a bit hard. Yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes I'm not the best in like structure working, like
cool.
or like very efficient.
Yeah.
So I need to work on that. But yeah, So like for
100%.
example, so now I'm working on that video and I'm constantly like going back to that instead of just like letting it go, because I need to record some stuff tomorrow.
Mhm.
So but today like I just worked the whole day on preparations, but if I think about it, like it wasn't necessary to put a full day on it. Like I could also make music and just work on the video after it's recorded, like.
Fair enough.
But that's something with your mind, that you need to finish something before you can move on to the next thing.
100%. Dude, I have a question just hearing you talk about this. Dude, you seem like you've been very strategic about the music you've released. Do you make a lot of songs that don't get released these days? Like, can you speak to what that looks like in terms of how much doesn't come out, how you decide, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm sometimes like pretty jealous like about some guys like who can make like so many tunes.
Hmm.
For me, it's very like I worked for a very long time on a track, and it got like 20 different versions. But most of the time, like when I made a track and like getting very into it, like especially when I'm playing it, most of the time I also want to release it.
I see. I see. So, got it. And it's funny, I'm like the exact opposite where I like make lots of songs, but like, I think there's something very cool about like when you get, it's just interesting. Like you don't need whether you make a lot of songs or just a few songs. I think it's super cool how so much can happen with just one song or two songs. And you never know. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. Let me read Boris, can you hear me by the way? I don't know if my connection's bad. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me, because I think Boris might be frozen. Okay. We might have lost it. Let's see. I think oh, you're
I'm
back.
Yeah, my connection was lost, so I'm now my hotspot.
Dude, all good, all good. Do you have time for a few more questions?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Amazing. Dude, how about this one from Eleganto? Good to see you, bro. Where do you oh, dude, Eleganto and like has also done stuff with Martin Garrix. So there's kind of like a through line. And then I think I saw
Yeah,
someone with
like
wait, what'd you say,
the
Boris?
funny thing is like I made like I know him, like I made a lot of artworks for him. So that's funny. We worked together on just the funny, like because he knows me from that. So yeah, funny.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Unreal. So his question, where do you see Hard House and the new trance sound evolving in the next few years? Would you say that some modern influences are coming in? Also, BPMs going up or down? Any thoughts?
I think it will go down BPMs. I'm already like experienced that myself, because before like the Waiting for Tonight is like 147, and now like my latest tracks is like 136, 138. So like that's like 10 BPMs lower.
Hmm.
So, and I also see that in my own sets, like I like to keep it like the BPMs a little bit lower, like 142 max. Yeah, I think like it doesn't really matter like for the energy in the room or something, that it doesn't be that high, and especially like when their bass line is a little bit more groovy, um, it just works better. Like if you have like this trancy bass line with this like half beat bass, or then it works when it's with like with the more housey grooves and bass lines. It makes sense if it's a little bit lower, like 140 or like even 135.
Cool. And what BPMs are you playing these days? What's your range?
Like if I'm playing like a little bit early, I would maybe start like 132,
Hmm.
135, and then maybe moving up to 140 or 142. Most of the time, like 142 is like the max for me nowadays. Like when I
Cool.
play, I
Cool.
try not to go higher. If I do like an all nighter, of course I will go higher, because it's like I played for 8 hours straight, so I just want to have some more different kind of music in there.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Awesome, man. All right, here's a couple more. This one's interesting. Do you recommend sticking to a single genre or be more experimental? I always struggle with this because I don't like to feel stuck in a specific genre or world.
I think definitely like make what you love the most. I think that's also what I talk with friends about. For example, like a good friend of mine, like he's making like completely different kind of music, but he just like made a track, and that's now like going very well. And he also told me like this is finally kind of like a track that I was really into to make it, and now it works. So I think like if you really have this love for it, um, yeah, then just make that what you really enjoy, and don't think about like wait, what's popular or what's yeah.
Unreal. Dude, such good advice. How did you learn how to make music? How did you learn how to produce?
Yeah, like what I told was when I was doing like graphic design at school, like I had a few classmates who were just like using FL Studio making dubstep. So there was, and then YouTube, uh, like yeah. So I think I learned the first things from them, and then like everything from YouTube.
Dude,
And
YouTube is
friends,
insane.
yeah, it's insane. Like that's such a huge benefit we have like as this generation that you can just look everything up. Like sometimes like now, even now when I don't know how to do something, I just Google it or like YouTube or even ask ChatGPT. So like then that's I think that's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Someone asked about inspiration, and I kind of want to ask you, is there anything that you're particularly inspired by right now?
Yeah, like lately I listen to like a lot of like sets, for example, from uh I need to look up what her name is, but I'm really like very inspired by her sets. It's from Emerson. So
Oh,
I
she's
just
amazing.
kind of like, and the thing is like I didn't know her, so
Mhm.
I just discovered her like 2 months ago, and I'm like very getting into her music and what she's playing, and that's kind of like giving me like a lot of inspiration in the studio, and it's very yeah, it's amazing to see. So that's kind of like what brings again like a month ago like some spark again that it was like, oh, this is so sick what she's doing. So
Dude,
I think I don't hear you. Yeah, no, yeah.
word. I just want to highlight for the people who asked about genres, it's just so interesting, like how Lammer, Waiting for Tonight, 147 BPM, trance, Eurodance, offbeat bass. Then, his big debut single, All Night, is like house, hard house, pianos, slower, funky bass line. And now to hear like that you're inspired by Avalon Emerson and, probably what I would imagine is like even slower and maybe more experimental. Like,
Yeah.
I, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I feel like such a big part of music is like following your heart and your excitement, even if it changes. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And it's also like of course like try always to make it sound like it's you. I think that's maybe something you hear with All Night and maybe Walk on a Dream. It's like completely different genre track, but maybe it's
Mhm.
still like you can hear that it's me.
Yeah.
Always try to get your own stuff in there and your own style, but definitely like I don't want to make like a new All Night, because yeah, like you're also evolving as an artist, and I think if you can evolve your music and do it yourself and also keep making what sparks you, I think that's very important. I think now for now that really helped me in my career. uh, that I'm not still making like the Waiting for Tonight kind of trancy tracks, but it just like keeps evolving. I think also the people who follow me and listen to me, they also like that it's evolving your music.
Dude, such good advice. Yeah, it's really interesting. Um, there's a thought that sparked up, but I forgot it. Really awesome. All right, maybe are you done for one or two last questions?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. From Patrick, how do you find appropriate avenues to contact promoters? Any advice for people who are trying to find events to play at and kind of start DJing more?
Yeah, I think it's very important to try to like look in your own city where you're from. Looking, trying to maybe even if not like the music you love, it's not being played there. Maybe like even try to organize your own parties or like try to connect to like the small bookers or like small parties. Um, yeah, even like small cafes. Like that's I think that's because it I don't think it's working. Like if you try to get to the big promoters or the big parties, like if you're just starting out, like you need to really start at your just the local bars and stuff like that.
Fair enough. Here's another question. So, this person, Patrick, wants to know about how you nail down mixing and mastering. Do you get very perfectionist? I think I'm kind of curious myself about like to hear you've had 20 versions of a song. How do you know when a song is done?
Yeah, that's the annoying thing. Like you never know. Like sometimes you think like in the evening, okay, this is it. I finally got the final mix.
Mhm,
And then the next morning you listen back, or you even compare it to the version you had the day before. I
mhm.
was like, shit, this one sound worse. So like, I don't know, but I think maybe like set it like a deadline for yourself. In the end, like I was just telling people, okay, All Night is gonna get released. I think it was 10th of January. So I already told people, so I really need to upload the final mix at the point. You had to. But yeah, that's always a hard thing. I think, especially when you're like very perfectionist. Like, yeah, I struggle with that also a lot. Also with the mix and master, like the next it can sound great, and the next day it can sound bad. Like it's so hard. But now, always when I'm listening back to it, and then I'm like, I'm fine with it. But at that moment when I make it, and when I think this is the final, I always like doubting myself so much. Yeah.
Dude, unreal. I love that. Sometimes it's the deadline that just forces you to say,
Yeah,
I give up. I
yeah,
have to
you
just
need
send
to.
it.
And in the
Dude,
end, like when you listen to it back like a month later, you're okay with it. That's my experience. Like I'm okay, yeah, sounds okay. Yeah.
unreal. Unreal. All right. I think that's maybe one last question to wrap it up. Someone asked about when's your collab with Freddie coming out. Is there anything coming up that you wanna
Yeah,
shout
I,
out?
I can like we're gonna release that next week. So like
Oh, no way.
that's not out here, but like that's also what we're gonna record tomorrow.
Oh, no
So
way.
here's small premiere.
Unreal, dude. Freddie, his music is so good.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he's also like an amazing producer. Like for example, like he's one of those guys who's like very fast in the studio. I am always jealous of that because I'm very slow in the studio, but he's like
Dude, let's go.
very fast.
And are there any places where can we see you behind the decks? Any upcoming shows that you're excited about?
Um, yeah, I think the most excited I'm about is I think the 27th of December. That's when I'm all nighter with Sunda in Utrecht. Yeah, that's an amazing venue, cool production. So, and I'm gonna play there for 7 hours.
Wow,
So
that's
that's
so sick.
yeah, and I really love to do like those longer sets. I can play more music,
Mhm.
uh, more different kind of music. So yeah, that's I'm very excited about that.
Damn, bro. By the way, are you playing any shows on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I'm playing in Edinburgh in
Scotland.
Scotland. Yeah,
Let's
yeah. So
go,
that's
dude.
that's amazing with Dart and the faster horses. So also a good
Wow.
con.
That's gonna be so sick. Dude,
Yeah,
I'm playing in Amsterdam on New Year's. So I was like, oh dude, I hopefully I'll hit you up, but at some point in the coming weeks, I would love to come visit you in Rotterdam and hang out.
definitely, man.
And yeah, man. Oh, dude, that's gonna be
Need
so
to
fun, Dart and Faster Horses. Wait, what'd you say?
come into my studio in Rotterdam.
Dude, that'd be so fun. So
Yeah, man.
fun. Unreal. Well, dude, also, you need to come to the US. Is there any plans whatsoever to
Yeah,
come
well,
and Mhm.
I'm working on that with my booker now. So like
Let's go.
probably next year we'll after the summer probably.
Amazing. Amazing, dude. Keep me posted
Yeah,
on that. And I'm sure you would
yeah.
make a lot of people really happy to come out here. Amazing. All right, guys. Well, I think yeah, Boris, thank you so much for taking this time to hang and share so much amazing wisdom and insight. I love your music so much. It's just such a delight to actually get to talk and really learn about your journey. It's so inspiring. And everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Can everyone unmute, make some noise for Lammer? Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you so much, brother.
Woo! Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yes,
you.
dude.
So nice.
Yeah.
So
You're
awesome.
the best.
And for anyone who wants to keep in touch, if you'd like to connect with other homies in this chat, feel free to drop your Instagrams, and I'll share the text thread over email so that you can connect with each other, make new friends. And yeah, dude, love seeing so many homies. Michael, good to see you. Max, Dude, Nick, the mullet looks phenomenal. Ellie, good to see you. So many homies. Awesome. Yeah, thank
Amazing.
you guys so much for hanging out. I'll keep the Zoom open for a little bit longer, but Boris, so much love, dude. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again. This was so much fun.
Thanks for doing this, Justin. Also, like a nice thing that you do this for the
Dude,
people, but also like for me, I would normally never set something like this up, but I really enjoy it. I think it's very nice to yeah do this
oh,
with a lot of people. So that's very cool.
dude, that makes me so happy. Dude, so much love for you. And yeah, man, it's amazing to be able to like nerd out about music on Zoom with so
Yeah,
many people from different parts of the world. It's magical. It's crazy.
amazing, man.
Unreal. All right, everybody. So much love. I will send the recording and the Zoom chat over email. And for anyone who likes dubstep, tomorrow I have my friend Mary Droppins who's doing a Zoom chat. It's going to be 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. European folk, I'm sorry, I know that'll probably be too late, but it'll also be recorded. But her story, super inspiring. She's amazing. And yeah, we'll keep in touch and talk to you guys soon. All right. Much
Amazing.
love, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye bye.
Peace.